So I think 5 of our high schools had the presentation last year, and we have the rest of them coming up this year. So we do have that opportunity. And also the Commit to Kids, the personal safety that links to health class. All the health and physical education teachers have been given those resources, and they will be able to talk about those online safety and all of those, the digital threats through, through their health classes, through the personal safety link.
Third question, go ahead.
My third question. Has any consideration been given to an anonymous parent portal? Because I know, sometimes students are going to be very hesitant to report. Some parents, particularly of different ethnic groups, are very nervous of authority and might be very reticent to report. And so I'm just putting it out there. If there was some ability for parents to report anonymously, is there something we're considering?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's not something I've been privy to. No, thank you.
Trustee Lawrence, do you have a question?
No, but she does.
You're the only one who hasn't asked a question. That's why I'm asking.
No, I know, yeah, no.
Trustee Moore.
Thank you. This is my third one, Mr. Chair. I'm just trying to pace myself with Trustee Simpson. No, it's just, actually, I did write this one down, so. When you talk about kids in the no curriculum, is there a parent component, something for the parent groups to take back to have at school council meetings, or?
Through you, Mr. Chair, absolutely. All principals have given links to all of the parent information and is encouraged to use those in their parent newsletters, as well as with school council.
Trustee Lawrence, and then Director DeMico.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. So, Lisa, is there a link to look at this and see more of what it's all about? Or, I mean, I'm impressed when you said it's international, because with trafficking and all that, like, that is so crucial.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Trustee Lawrence, you can access their website and see samples that some of them are for purchase, but because of the great relationship that we've had with them, they've given us all the full digital access for free for our school board. So it is on the school portal, the staff portal, but if you just go on their website, you can see all the lessons there themselves as well.
Mr. Director.
Through you, Mr. Chair, just to follow up on some of the questions regarding anonymous reporting. 2 areas of your policy that you passed. One is that certainly anyone can contact SACA, so the Children's Sexual Assault and Child Abuse Unit, or the Children's Aid Society in an anonymous manner. So that's one avenue for people if there's a concern that they don't want their name to appear. The other item that the Board of Trustees approved, I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago for our board, is we didn't used to receive anonymous reports, and that was because we didn't feel it was fair to the individuals. We did update the policy at that time based on the advice of the committee and the trustees. So we now do accept anonymous material. So if a complaint comes into the board and it's not signed, there still is a duty, depending on what's reported. Normally it would be the superintendent of HR that would get involved, and we'd also involve our privacy and information manager if needed. So we do have 2 policies that address that, and I think we will take back the comments from today to look to see if there is any other language we can strengthen if someone has a complaint against their direct supervisor. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other questions or comments? Thank you, Lisa. As you've seen, it's very much fruitful discussion. So thank you for making your presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the time. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Can I have a mover, please? Trustee Lawrence and Trustee Melito. That the memorandum from the Superintendent of Student Success Intermediate Secondary dated February the 8th, 2023, Safe School Initiatives be received. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Item 3, memo from the Superintendent of Planning and Facilities, New Riverside South Catholic Elementary School, and the proposed attendance boundary consultation document. Welcome, Superintendent Vella and Mr. Baxter.
Thank you, and good evening, Mr. Chair and trustees. It's my pleasure to bring forward a proposed plan on behalf of the Planning Facilities Department on our consultation for the new Riverside South School. So we'll have Manager Ian Baxter from the Planning and Construction side of things present the proposed plan.
Thank you, Superintendent Valla, and good evening, everyone. Through you, Mr. Chair, the Planning and Facilities Group are bringing forward a memo this evening for consideration containing a proposed attendance boundary for a new elementary school to be opened in the Riverside South community. We are seeking approval to proceed with the consultation process and for the use of the attached document to inform parents and families and receive public input. So this marks the commencement of the final of 4 planned new school consultation processes. Attendance boundaries were set during the previous school year for new elementary schools in Fernbank and Barrhaven South, and final recommendations will be brought forward to the next board meeting for our new school planned in the Finley Creek community. We've spoken in the past about the long planning timelines that sometimes occur with significant growth areas in this region. Riverside South is an example of this. Original planning for the community dates back to the early 1990s under the former city of Gloucester. The construction of houses in the area began during the late 1990s and has continued steadily since that time, almost 25 years now. In order to meet student accommodation needs in Riverside South at full build-out, currently expected to be over 25,000 homes, the board has identified a need for a total of 4 elementary schools and 2 secondary schools. St. Jerome Elementary School is located at 4330 Spratt Road and was opened in 2004. St. Francis Xavier High School was opened in 2009 and is located on Spratt Road just east of Limebank Road. In April 2022, we received notice from the province that capital funding had been approved for the construction of a 507 pupil place new Riverside South Catholic Elementary School. So this will be the 3rd school to be open to serve students in the community and the 2nd elementary school. The new school is currently planned to open for September 2024 and will also accommodate a purpose-built childcare center. Funding for the project was allocated by the ministry in order to alleviate pressures at St. Jerome Elementary School and also provide students with local accommodation. The land that will contain the new school was purchased by the board in April 2022, just prior to the receipt of capital funding from the ministry. The site is 6.8 acres in size and is co-located with a municipal park at the corner of Brian Good and Solarium Avenues in the area south of Armstrong Road. The proposed attendance boundary for the new school is an area generally bounded by Rideau Road to the south, the Rideau River to the west, Bowesville Road to the east, and a planned rapid transit corridor to the north. The size of the boundary for the new school reflects a future need for the opening of an additional elementary school to serve students who will reside in future development areas located to the east. The proposed boundary also includes a planned future residential development area located south of the Strandherd Armstrong Bridge, or the Vimy Ridge Bridge, between River Road and the Rideau River. This area is currently directed to St. Leonard Elementary School in Manotick, but is significantly closer to the new school site. Upon opening, the new school is projected to have an enrollment of 372 students for September 2024, and 5 years hence, in 2028, enrollment at the school is forecasted to increase to 542 students with an estimated need for 2 portable classrooms on site. Under the proposal, enrollment at St. Jerome Elementary School would be reduced to 520 students for 2024, resulting in a utilization rate of 103%. And enrollment at St. Jerome is projected to remain relatively stable until significant development takes place in that area located east of Limebank Road. Enrollment at St. Leonard Elementary School over the next 5 years would not be impacted by the change to its boundary, as residential development then that in the area of change is expected to commence after that 5-year time frame. All grade 6 students who attend the new Riverside South Elementary School would be directed to St. Francis Xavier High School for grades 7 to 12. The proposed change to the St. Leonard Elementary School boundary mentioned earlier results in a need to include both St. Mark and St. Francis Xavier High Schools in the consultation process. Similar to previous elementary schools, the grade structure upon opening is proposed to be JK to 6 with a full complement of grades. We are recommending that a consultation process with the 4 impacted school communities take place over the next 4 months in order to receive input regarding the proposed new school attendance boundary. Notice of the consultation will be distributed to schools and the public via regular board social media channels. A dedicated webpage will also be created to post supporting information, communicate with parents and guardians, and post relevant updates. An in-person public meeting to present the proposal is planned to take place in the gymnasium at St. Jerome Elementary School in late April. A recommendation report regarding the proposed new school attendance area and input received as a result of the consultation process is anticipated to be brought to the board for consideration at its meeting on June 13th. Implementation of approved changes to boundaries would be effective upon the opening of the new school. And I think with that, I'll leave things there. And if there are questions from trustees regarding the report, staff are here tonight to answer those. Thanks.
Thank you. Trustee Warren, do you have questions?
Yes, thanks. Through you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for the report. It's very detailed. You mentioned that the starting population would be 372 students for the opening of the new school, and then leading up to 542. Is that correct? With the 372, what percent does that give us for the utilization rate for that school?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I believe that number would result in a utilization rate of about 73% upon opening in 2024.
Just a supplemental. So for that 372, is that because of the new development that hasn't been built that we're anticipating to be built? And typically, in the past, has the ministry approved us to get schools with a underutilized school with that percent? Because typically, when we open a new school, it seems like we're overpopulated on day one.
Through you, Mr. Chair, and in response to the trustee question, so I think it's a combination of things. It's a combination of the development that's happening and the rate that it's happening in that area south of Armstrong Road, but it's also to some degree a result of needing to ensure that we create a boundary for St. Jerome that is viable, and that and the location of those students sort of south and north of Armstrong Road. So I think optimally when we when we sort of open these new schools and we impact existing schools, what we optimally like to do, if possible, is leave those existing schools with strong enrollments and a combination of more mature areas, but also with future development as well. So a mix of sort of old and new. We also like to open those schools if possible. It's not always possible. It really depends. It's always sort of area specific. But we do like to optimally open those schools, those new schools, with room to grow over time, knowing that development, especially in an area like Riverside South, where really there are still, upwards of 15 to 17,000 homes left to build. So we know that growth is going to continue. So every situation is a little bit unique, but this is one where I think we're a little bit fortunate in terms of the timing and the ability to meet both of those sort of objectives.
I appreciate the hard work you guys put into this. Thanks. Looking forward to the boundary review.
Trustee Witter.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, just a couple of things, and starting with the capacity situation at St. Leonard, and Trustee Warren and others can jump in and correct me what it's really like on the ground. But It looks like most of the other schools in the short and medium term are going to receive some relief, if you will, but no relief for St. Leonard's, and not even in sort of through that 2028. They have an 8-room porta pack, you've indicated. What is the physical space in terms of the ability to add, you know, another porta pack, you know, more permanent, semi-permanent fixture to accommodate that? Because that seems to me, at least looking at this report, that school continues to lose out. And, you know, there's really sort of no end in sight of the fact that they're over almost double their capacity.
Through you, Mr. Chair, and in response to the trustee question. So again, I think you noted that the school is a little bit unique, and one of those schools that has an attached porta pack with 8 classrooms. So that utilization rate that you see is really an enrollment compared to the permanent bricks and mortar or ministerial capacity. So a little bit deceiving in terms of the school's ability to accommodate students. Saying that, the school does have a relatively high enrollment, and even though it's scheduled or predicted to remain relatively stable moving forward, and we're relocating or redirecting that area, that future development area on the east side of the river away from St. Leonard. That's a school that, in sort of from my perspective, we have a list of approved capital priorities. That is one of those areas that is sort of needs to be reviewed as part of the, you know, the 2024 capital plan in terms of what, you know, what is the solution and what is that timing. You may recall that we have an elementary school site, a future site, reserved in the Mahogany Bay development area, but it's located in the latter phases of that development. So I think that's an area that we need to continue to monitor how many kids are coming out of that development, monitor the enrollment at St. Leonard for you know, what the solution will be. Obviously, the solution will include a new school, but how does St. Leonard fit into that equation as well, and what is the timing?
Okay. Supplemental. Just a couple maybe housekeeping items. A date in late April, the report specifies. Do we have a sense of when that is, and like we communicate when that meeting is going to be as soon as possible? I think the only reason I say that is if parent councils are meeting, often meet once a month, they may want to have a meeting or two under their belt to formulate some questions, you know, before they walk into that room. That's just one. And then the other is the May 30th completion for input. The staff feel it's enough time between May 30th to June 13th, enough business days to be able to compile all of that feedback and bring something back to the board?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'll answer the second question first. I do think that's enough time in terms of you know, when that deadline for feedback is, late May versus mid-June in terms of the report. Typically, we would get you know, the input that we receive typically comes in relatively quickly, and then also occurs early on in the process, and then also occurs obviously with the public meeting and around that time period. So I do think that's sufficient. And I think your first question was around a specific date for the public meeting. We did have a specific date prior to, I think it was Wednesday, but we're working on finding a date in late April that works for everyone to ensure that trustees, superintendents, everyone can be there. So really that was, and we would certainly hope to have that confirmed as soon as possible and communicated out to the school communities and parents.
Any other, Trustee Melito?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the boundaries for St. Leonard's now, the portion on the east side, from what I read, they're not drawing very many students. So in the future, when you take that away, will not make that much of an impact on St. Leonard's. So are the new boundaries, will that include east of the river and Dozier Road? And the second question is for St. Leonard's, the new school, which is planned in Mahogany Bay, Is that the only growth that's projected in Manotick? So those two schools would serve like the old Manotick and then I guess would be Mahogany Bay, or is there going to be future growth?
I think most of the growth, sorry, through you, Mr. Chair, and in response to the trustee question, I think most of the growth within the St. Leonard attendance boundary certainly is within Manotick, but there are, that attendance boundary really straddles the Rideau River and going further south. But again, probably most of that growth is within the village. And then also within Mahogany Bay as well. There's certainly students generated. In terms of the part of the St. Leonard boundary that is proposed to be redirected to the new school, that is generally comprised. There are certainly homes along River Road, along the western side of River Road, but really very few students are located there right now. And most of it is comprised of future development, residential development.
Trustee Moore?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. Just still speaking about that same parcel that's being redirected to the new Riverside South. Now, on your map of the high schools, that parcel isn't being redirected to St. Francis Xavier so that those, or is that just a typo I missed? Or is the current map not the new map?
Through you, Mr. Chair, it certainly should be proposed to be redirected from St. Mark. That area east of the Rideau River, south of the bridge, should be proposed to be redirected from St. Mark to St. Francis Xavier, as it will be part of the new school boundary.
Any other questions or comments? Gentlemen on the video? Thank you very much for your comments. I'm out there on a daily basis, so I know the area very, very well. Can I have a mover, please, for the motion? Trustee Warren? And a seconder, please. Trustee Whitted. That the memorandum from the Superintendent of Planning Facilities dated February 8, 2023, entitled New Riverside South Catholic Elementary School, proposed attendance boundary consultation document be received, and that the proposal contained therein form the basis of public comment, for public comment, and that potentially impacted school communities and parent councils be advised of the proposal and the consultation process and be provided with avenues to submit their feedback, and that the following completion of the public consultation process, a recommendation regarding the proposal be brought back to the Board of Trustees for a final decision. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. New business, none. Notice of motions, none. Confirmation of the action report. Can I have a mover, please? Trustee Simpson. Seconder. Trustee Whitted. That the action report covering the period of January 24, 2023 be received. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Inquiries, none. Administrative announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You'll notice by the crowd in the gallery, it is Valentine's Day, so I would like to thank all of you and wish all of you a happy Valentine's, and it's also Kindness Week. So I want to thank each of you and our superintendents, our support staff for our board meetings, for your commitment to both our board and Catholic education, even on Valentine's Day. You'll also find in front of you a copy of this book, thanks to our religious education department. It's entitled Walking Together Towards Truth, Healing, and Reconciliation and Hope. It contains all of the homilies and the speeches from Pope Francis from July 24th to 29th, 2022, along with photos and some background information for the sacred and spiritual meanings that took place and the Pope's apologies for that pilgrimage. So hopefully you'll enjoy the book. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. D'Amico. I have one announcement to make. I'm very pleased to report that last week the recipient of the OCSOA Ontario Catholic Supervisor Officers Association for Distinguished Leadership Award, or the Distinguished Leadership Award, was announced. The winner was Tom D'Amico. The OCSOA Distinguished Leadership Award is awarded annually to up to 2 active members that have demonstrated outstanding leadership on committee or projects which focus on enhancing the interests and needs of students. Tom was nominated by the directors of Region 1 and supported by our senior administration team. He is certainly a most deserving recipient, and we're very fortunate and proud that Tom is our director. Congratulations, Tom.
Thank you.
We come to the bewitching hour. 8:30 on the nose. I told you it'd be 8:30. Can I have a mover, please? Trustee Coburn. Seconded by Trustee Phelan. Thanks very much. That the regular board meeting of February 14th be adjourned at 8:30 p.m. All in favor? Opposed?